Trump?
Yes.
Election held today, Harris versus Trump. Who would you rather vote for?
Trump.
And what's your birth year?
2008. I just turned 18.
Okay. Why do you support Trump?
Mainly because under Biden, there was like so much inflation. He was demented, and Harris was not really appropriate for the VP pick. No one supported her, and she was definitely not appropriate for running for president now. Like, if you looked at her stats, she tried to run in like 2020. No one supported her in the primaries, so.
Okay. You said Biden, but you said Biden had dementia. One, there's not diagnosed with dementia, no evidence of that. Two, the inflation that happened under his administration was not because of him. Three, even if Biden did have dementia, that's not Kamala Harris. So that's not a reason to support Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. And if you cared about cognitive decline, you wouldn't have voted for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris, given that he, one, looked up an eclipse with his bare eyes twice. Two, said that windmills are causing whales to die numbers never seen before. Three, said we should look into disinfectant by injection to fight COVID-19. Four, said we should nuke hurricanes to fight them. Five, said that if Jesus were the vote counter in California, that he would have won the vote against Joe Biden. And I can give countless others as well.
Okay,
and
so
Donald Trump caused inflation by starting the war with Iran, and the OECD has forecasted 4.2% inflation year over year.
Okay, so factually, Biden definitely had more inflation than Trump. That's just factually recorded. Food prices went up way more, egg prices went up way more, beef prices went up way more. And also, what you said about Biden not having dementia, I mean, it's actually pretty clear that he did. You don't need an official diagnosis to tell he was not cognitively fit to run the country. So, no, absolutely not. He definitely had so many gaffes and issues.
Okay, so Biden did not cause the inflation to go up. Okay, I don't know where you're getting that from. Why do you think that Biden caused the inflation to go up?
Partly because of all of the stimulus checks he was handing out like candy, and also he was just pumping money.
Trump also gave out stimulus checks.
Healthcare. Okay, sorry. Not necessarily this. I just mean he gave a lot of Medicare. Medicare also. He invested way more money to that into he tried to promote the Green New Deal program. What it costs, like, just so much. I mean, it's just so, actually, economists will literally agree with me. He was not fit to run the country cognitively. And I don't care if you can't like find a direct reason why inflation went up under him. He was president. He should be held responsible. Okay.
Okay, so just because someone's president doesn't mean that they have done it. For example, right, I got into my relationship under the Biden-Harris administration. Should I thank Biden?
Okay.
Thank you so much, Joe Biden. I met my amazing and beautiful, gorgeous girlfriend during his administration. Thank you so much, Joe.
But Biden had no influence over that. Biden,
thank you so much. But he's president, so I have to thank him.
Oh, so you're not even going to take this seriously?
Thank you so much, Joe Biden. I really appreciate it. Thank you. W's to Joe Biden for that. Thank you so much.
So you're just gonna mock me? Like, what other points do you want to bring up as to why?
Wait, can you like actually engage? You obviously know that just because it happened under the administration does not mean that it was caused by said administration.
So you don't think Biden had any influence over the economy then, as president?
I do think that his influence over the economy, I just don't think that his influence over the economy caused inflation to go up. I also don't think that he has the meaningful ability to address inflation to cause it to go down. That's the Federal Reserve that deals with that. And again, there was global inflation, not specific to just the United States.
Okay, well, if you look at Trump, he was president, he cut taxes. That was a great thing. Corporate tax rate went down. You don't agree with that? You don't agree with that? Oh, no, I'm just giving an example as to why Biden mismanaged the economy, and there were many factors that, because of that mismanagement, that contributed to the inflation and rising home prices, rising food prices, everything.
What's it called? Corporate tax was the same under Biden's administration. It was still Trump tax policy.
Okay. Do you realize Biden was vice president under Obama before that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You were complaining about inflation? Also, inflation happened under Biden's administration, not Obama's, genius.
Okay, going back to the corporate tax thing again. Trump passed that. Biden wasn't able to repeal, and it benefited the economy. Will you at least agree that that was a win for Trump, the corporate tax rate cuts?
No, because it actually increased corporate taxes for the first $50,000 in corporate income.
The first 50,000? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, first 50,000 got taxed at a higher 6% rate. 6% higher rate. It was 15% under Obama, 21% under Trump, that flat tax rate.
I'm sorry, I don't have as many like facts memorized as you. What was first 50,000 mean?
First 50,000 in income?
Oh, so like, what does that mean? Like, what income range, dollar amount? What does that mean?
The first 50,000.
Okay, so $1 to $50,000, right?
Yeah, 0 to 50,000.
Okay, so
Up to
those people are
50,000.
not the ones that are providing jobs. You realize?
So
By
small
the corporate
businesses
tax
don't
rate
provide
goes up.
jobs?
Not to the extent that
Oh.
bigger, medium-sized, or larger businesses do.
So he wants to promote big businesses, not small businesses. Interesting.
No, big businesses and medium businesses, and also $50,000 is.
Why not also
that's
small businesses?
Because small businesses are mainly family-owned. They don't provide lots of job structures.
They do.
for-
They're very important to communities. I don't know why you only say that like large corporations
I know, they
matter,
are.
or big
Of course-
businesses,
of course
or even
small
medium-sized
businesses are
businesses.
important.
But like, why would you want people specifically who are lower income to be disenfranchised? Why would you want to increase their taxes? That makes no fucking sense at all.
Okay, well, I'm not aware that he specifically raised taxes.
He did
on
do
the
that.
First... No, he did not raise taxes on the people making under $50,000. What are you talking about?
Yes, he did for corporate
That's
income.
just definitely not true.
You want to bet?
Okay, well, if let's say that is true, then why
I
has our
am
business?
right. I know that I'm right.
Okay, sure. I'll say you're right, but I mean that still doesn't change my point. It benefited so
It
many
does.
people who had jobs.
So
And-
I have a question. If Donald Trump increased your taxes, would you still vote for him?
The exact reason why I'm voting for him is because he's decreasing taxes.
So if he increased your taxes, would you vote for him?
Okay, well, how would he be directly? He's never done that, so why
I'm just
would I
asking,
not-
if he increased your taxes, would
If
you
he
still?
increased my taxes,
Yeah,
like
like-
an insane amount, I wouldn't vote for him anymore.
No,
but that's
if he,
not what
so
the
if he
case.
increased your taxes, you wouldn't vote for him.
Like an insane amount, but if he,
Okay, so if he slightly increased it, you'd still vote for him?
yeah, I mean, as long as it doesn't like insanely impact me, okay, I would still vote for him. Specifically because he's more harsh on the border. He's also at least willing to acknowledge that transgender people are, like kids should not be transgender and get surgery from state-funded money. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
How do you feel about the Senate Republicans responding to a Democratic post saying that trans rights are human rights, and they said no? How do you feel the Senate Republicans account saying that?
Well, I think who posted that, by the way? The trans rights or human rights?
The Democratic X account.
I never said trans rights are not human rights.
I know that you didn't say that. What I said is
Okay.
that they said that, and then the Senate Republican account responded with no.
Probably because they were referring to the rights to give children puberty blockers and hormone therapy. Like that
No,
is not
all they said is that trans rights are human rights. That's all they said.
Okay, but you have to put that into context. What they really mean is that trans people.
Wow. So you don't think trans rights are human rights?
No, absolutely. I think all human rights are human rights.
So trans rights are human rights. Do you agree?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so then why does the Senate Republicans account disagree with that?
Because the context, if you look at the context of why they disagreed with that, they're disagreeing with the premise that trans children, transgender adults have the right to government-funded healthcare for their transgender identity.
That wasn't even the claim in saying that trans rights are human rights.
But you understand like the political dynamic of our country right now.
So saying no. So by the way, couldn't you just respond with saying yes, trans rights are human rights, but I don't think that those rights extend to situations like this. Why would you say no? I don't think rights are human rights. That makes no sense to me.
For the same reason, the Democrats posted, "Oh, trans rights are human rights," but they didn't give any context, like because of a false assumption. Whether it's a true or false assumption, like blame them if that was a false assumption on the Republicans and the Democrats weren't really referring to the rights for healthcare for trans people.
To answer the question, why wouldn't you just say trans rights are human rights and then say, I don't think the rights extend to this?
Sure, you can say that.
So then why didn't they say that?
Because they wanted to make a point, a political point.
Yeah, because they're bigoted and they don't care about the effect that has on trans people, and they don't give a shit. And you support administration, quite literally, that kicked trans people out of the military, that wanted to get rid of the Second Amendment right for trans people. And by the way, when you say kids shouldn't be trans, there inevitably are kids that are trans. So you saying kids shouldn't be trans just means that these kids shouldn't exist. That's what you mean. Because inevitably speaking, they do exist. They're not going anywhere. Those trans kids are still going to exist. So we should accept those trans kids for being trans. We shouldn't say that they should be stigmatized for just being trans. Like, what the fuck?
Okay,
that's absurd to me. You're talking about disenfranchising children, bro.
You let me speak? So if a kid
obviously,
says,
but once I'm done speaking, like what?
Okay, fine. But obviously, if a kid says, "Oh, I want to be a hippopotamus, I want to be a lion," you're still going to support that kid, but you're not going to support that identity. Hello?
Well, we do know that there are trans children that are being serious, that this does impact them. They are literally trans. Like, that's obviously the case, and people disenfranchise them in society. That's a negative impact on them in society. That shouldn't happen. They are trans regardless. Now, if you're saying, oh, I think that there are circumstances where kids say that they're hippos, those situations, they're not being serious. They're like playing around.
Okay, well, I'm sure in some scenarios
trans kids are being serious.
You know, every single trans kid in America, you know for a fact they're all being serious, right? Or maybe they're just confused?
Yeah, I do think that trans kids are serious.
All of them?
I don't think that they're confused.
So you think every single one knows exactly what they're trying to define as their identity perfectly? Like you think?
Of course I don't think everyone understands their identity fully. I didn't understand my identity fully. But that doesn't necessarily mean that like I was trans and didn't know it. For example, right? Like,
well, honestly, can we go back to the let's support Trump? Because the transgender issue, that's not even like the biggest issues of why I would support Trump, honestly.